The latest frontline in the battle over fair pay for rideshare drivers is in Minneapolis. Uber and Lyft have threatened to leave the city over a new ordinance that sets minimum wages for drivers. As special correspondent Fred DeSam-Lazaro reports, it's leading to bigger questions about the state of the gig economy.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Ralph here. So here we go again. All right, we have another city that's doing its best to destroy business. They don't know economics. They don't understand business yet. They're doing their best to just kick out every business that actually provides some type of value to a city. Right. So, for instance, we have the city of Minneapolis that's trying to implement like new minimum wage laws when it comes to rideshare programs like Uber and Lyft. And of course, as a business, they're looking at that and saying, you know what, it doesn't make sense. So now you got Uber and Lyft trying to they're threatening to leave, right? Because it doesn't make sense. Like you when you're raising the minimum wages artificially, that's going to affect the businesses, and they're going to say, you know what, it doesn't make sense to operate here. So we're going to react accordingly.
Lifelong Minneapolis resident Matthew McGlory started driving for Uber and Lyft over 7 years ago. He loves the flexibility, the chance to meet new people, and for a while he felt like drivers and the companies were true partners. But in the past few years, McGlory says, drivers have seen a smaller cut of fares.
Is it fair that Lyft or Uber will charge a passenger $67 and give the driver $23? We're not asking for anything more than we think we deserve or anything more than we think is fair.
See, this is my problem. Look at, and this is no disrespect to Uber drivers, right? But Uber driving, Lyft driving, these are low-skilled jobs, right? They're low-skilled gig jobs. They're not, you can't expect to make a lot of money. Now, this is not to say that they shouldn't make any money. Of course not. I mean, you should get paid for your labor. But these are low-skilled jobs. You can't expect to make a whole bunch of money. Okay, and this is the thing. I used to work as a security guard, right? And of course, you work back in the days. If you work security, then you know you don't make a lot of money. But in my head, I was like, you know what? I didn't go run to my manager or whatever and said like, you know what? You need to pay me more than the $15 that you're paying me. I need to make more. I need to make $20. I didn't do that. I understand that this is a low skill job and you don't make a lot of money. So what do? I say, you know what? I need to do better. I need more. I say, you know what? I'm going to leave this job. I'm going to develop some skills and see if I can get another job that's going to pay me more money. And this is what you should be doing with any type of job that doesn't pay that much, right? This is what should motivate you to say, you know what? I want more. So in order to get more, I need to develop better skills. And if you're content where you are, that's cool also. But then you can't just expect to get more. You can't expect to say, oh, I should be making X amount of dollars. These are low skill jobs. And I would expect my man right here to be like, you know what? If I want to make more money, I need to develop more skills. Instead, they just say, you know what, we need to implement a minimum wage law. Like that's going to help your situation, your financial situation. That's not going to help you. It's still minimum wage is still not going to be enough, especially in today's economy. So this isn't something you should be fighting for. You should be, instead of fighting for minimum wage, you should be trying to work towards progressing, trying to make yourself better, trying to develop more skills, so therefore you can make more money in the long run. But obviously he wants to be like, oh, we need minimum wage. So obviously government people are going to be like, all right, we know we need to get minimum wage, so we're going to fight for that. And in the end, it's going to hurt you long term.
That's why McGlory supported a recent Minneapolis City Council ordinance that sets minimum pay for rideshare drivers. It requires the companies to pay drivers at least $1.40 per mile and 51 cents per minute during rides.
This fight is really simple. It's about giving workers a minimum wage. These are static facts.
Councilmember Robin Wansley helped write the policy.
We hold the standard that workers should earn livable wages. We should not make exemptions for rideshare drivers because they're part of the gig economy. This is the
People like that piss me off, man. These people have never started a business. They don't understand economics. They just say, you know what, it's not fair, and then we should implement the law, right? Based on what the perceived value of fairness means, whatever fairness means to them. So they're like, we need to implement the law. Never thinking about the consequences of these actions, right? Like the fact that, you know, business is going to say, you know what, the hell with you, we out, we're gone, we're done. And now guess what? Minimum wage is zero. Like nobody got a job. So all you're doing is hurting people in the long run. So it just bothers me when I see people come up here and they, oh, we need to get fair this and we need to get fair wages. Look at, man, this is a gig job. If you don't want to do it, go do something else. Go do something else. Like, you don't have to do this job. You don't. I mean, you don't have to do this type of work. You don't. It's just driving a car. Anyone can do it. A 16-year-old can do it. right? As long as you got a license, you're in a GPS, and like I said, there's no disrespect to any drivers out there, but this is not some hard skilled labor job. You're driving a car. And the fact that they come up with these laws and all they're doing is they act like they're helping the people, but all they're doing is just hurting them in the long run. And it's just frustrating when you see people like that. Oh, we need to do fair this, but what are you talking about? Do you understand the consequences of what's going to happen? Or maybe they don't care.
Time to reevaluate our dependence on two corporate giants that have based their entire economic model on paying their drivers sub-minimum wages.
Immediately after the ordinance passed, both Uber and Lyft said they would stop operating in Minneapolis on May 1st, the day the increases take effect. Uber spokesman Josh Gold.
What we saw in other markets is if you raise rates too high, you may be making more for each individual trip. Because demand's going to go down, you'll actually be making less on an hourly basis.
Are you really going to leave on May 1st if this doesn't change?
Yes.
Gold pointed to the company's decision to leave Austin, Texas in 2016 after that city passed a driver fingerprinting requirement. It only returned when the state passed a law preempting the city. But Uber and Lyft have backed down from threats to leave elsewhere.
I really hope we can continue to work with drivers and policymakers in Minneapolis to continue to stay. But if it doesn't make sense to operate a business, we won't operate a business.
Exactly. If it doesn't make sense, then they're gonna do what they're gonna do. And this is how business is. Like they have to make money. If they're not making money, then no one has a job, right? Like it's just common sense. And it's frustrating because a lot of people obviously don't understand when it comes to business. All they expect is like, the businesses are making too much money. They're greedy. No, it's a business, right? It's a business. The goal of a business is to make profit. Right, and that helps out everyone. I understand that for a lot of people, they feel like they're not making enough money, and depending on the job, depending on your skills, maybe you should be. You could look at. I don't. If these drivers, like a lot of these drivers, I'm sure there's drivers out there that want this minimum wage, and I'm sure there's other drivers that don't. Right, because remember, you're talking about one of the reasons why a lot of people like these Uber jobs is because of the flexibility, the fact that they can work on their own schedule whenever they want, and you can just go drive and then make some money. Right now, think about it. If you're going to be an employee, that's what they're just doing the minimum wage. Who knows exactly how that works? But I'm sure there was other times where they were trying to change the laws. I think in California, where they were talking about making them employees. So like what? Now you're going to work a schedule. You're going to work a certain shift. You got to get healthcare benefits, all these stuff. It just doesn't work. A gig job is just something that, it's something that you do on the side. It's not something that should be this should be your only thing that you're doing. It's just something that you could make some extra money. Right now, when you start implementing all these laws, you just make it tougher on other people, because if you're going to raise these prices, then what? Us, the consumer, are going to pay for that, right? We're going to find that to take these Uber drives are going to be a little bit more expensive. And like the owner said, he said, look, when you raise the price like that, you find out you make less money, because then people say, Uber is kind of expensive. Maybe I won't take this. I won't use Uber anymore. And then for you as a driver, you're going to make less money in the long run. So you got to think about the consequences, because when you start doing these things artificially, like, it's just going to hurt you in the long run. Now look at that. If they leave Minneapolis, now the minimum wage is zero. There's no business. There's no work. Now you got to find another job. You got to find another thing that you're going to do. So what's the point, right? Like I said, if they go out of business, then you're not doing it anyway. So why don't you just, if you don't like the pay, then do something else. Stop doing Uber. That's a simple solution. That's what I would do. If I didn't like what Uber was doing, or let's say the majority of people didn't like what Uber was doing, guess what? There would be no drivers. And then guess what Uber would have to do? They would either have to go out of business, or they would have to raise the pay. But obviously, there's people that are cool with it because they like the flexibility that driving Uber offers. So, I mean, look, man, you got to understand. It has to make sense business-wise, and especially when you're dealing with these politicians, they don't understand business. They don't understand economics. They just say, oh my God, we got to pay fair pay because it's not fair, whatever that means. And then they just hurt the city in the long run. So those are my thoughts. I'm interested in what you got to say. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Hit the like button and share. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so guys, take care and have a good one. Later.